Hello and welcome to WOW's Operation Replays. Today we have Hornet. Now, as you can see, Hornet is a rental ship, and that is because of the longest night thing. And the codes that were redeemed gave us Hornet for 5 days. So we were like, let's make a review on it. So, Hornet is the sister ship to USS Enterprise, CV-6. Now, right off the bat, we're going to get right into it, because we got some good replays for you. Without the contributor flag, it's 5% to credits, 55 to ship XP, 65 to commander XP, and then with the clan and no boost on there, it's 100% to free XP. So armor-wise, she's basically coated with a 25mm deck, and basically coated with plating armor of 30, of basically 19mm bow, belt armor of 40, aft end of 19, with some 40mm hanger armor in there. So, but I want you to show this, and this is something that I learned, is that when you look at her Citadel, that is still slightly waterbound Citadel. That is still a waterline Citadel. That is still you can still get Citadel. As you can see, it is slightly above the waterline. So you can still get slapped. If you're broadside on the Hornet, don't expect to be getting overpinned. You will get deleted in this thing. I've done it. It happens to Hornets. Survivability-wise, she gets exactly 50,000 HP with a 23% torpedo reduction. So, average, not great, but still decent. Torpedo-wise, she gets Douglas TBD Devastators, Douglas SBD 5 SBD Dauntless Dive Bombers, and then she gets her tactical squadron of B25 Mitchells. So the torpedo bombers, they each have a health of 2,038. They're slow with a speed of 115, max of 151. Engine boost time 22 seconds. The reload time is 36 seconds. The attack squadron size is 8 planes, 4 per attacking flight, and there's 18 on deck. So you can run off about 2 strikes and still have planes. But I'll be honest, for playing her, it takes a while to deplan the torpedo bombers, unless you are taking flak and everything. Regen time on them is about 1 torpedo bomber for 1 minute. So not bad, not great, but not bad. They each have a max payload, or max damage of, with the right skills and everything, of around 4,700 with 1 torp in each plane. So 4,700 times, that's almost around 20,000 damage. That's a pretty high alpha strike. It's not Chocolate and Saipan's alpha strike, but it's still a pretty good alpha strike. Arming distance 361 with a range of 3 kilometers. Pretty short, but not great. With the right skills, your torpedo speed can go up to around 37 knots. Higher, of course, if you take Swift Fish. But remember, if you take Swift Fish, you increase the arming distance. So, do you want slower torps with less arming distance or faster torps with longer arming distance? So keep that in mind. There is that trade-off. Her SBD Dauntless Dive Bombers, individual HP 2090, minimum speed 131, max 170, engine boost 22 seconds, reload time 36 seconds, squadron size 10 planes, 5 dive bombers per run. You get 22 of these guys on deck, so quite a bit. You can make 2 squadrons of these. Now, ideally, if you plan your squadrons right, you could probably get off about 3 strikes before you have to wait for them to recharge. But you don't want to get that far. They do have a prep time of about 1 bomber for 1 minute. So again, like the Torp bombers, really decent. They don't have the best health, but the regens are actually fairly sustainable over the long period, which makes it the perfect op ship and random ship. The bomb damage, though, is planes, 1 bomb for 5 planes. So that's around 21,000 if I did my math right. Let me think on that. Let me redo my math. Yeah, 21,000. Wait. Or is that 18? Crap. Ah, crud. Let's see here. There's 0, 0, 0. 18,000. It's 18,000, not 21,000. My bad. I can't do math. But then we get to her bread and butter. Her main damage dealers are the B25 Mitchell medium bombers. Now, the Mitchell bombers. These guys are tanky as hell. And if you're a World War II historian or are familiar with World War II, I'm sure in your studies or independent studies, you might have heard the phrase, the bomber will always get through. That's how you play these. Is you basically, you don't worry about the flak. You try to avoid as much as you can, but for the most part, you're just driving straight through it. The hit points on this is ridiculous. The full squadron has basically a hit point of like 30,000. But individual, they have 5,090 HP per plane. That's a lot of HP. The speed isn't the best at 113 minimum with a max of 150. So they're on the slow side. They don't maneuver fast and they're not great. So keep that in mind. The engine boost is 22 seconds with a 36 reload time. So like the rest of her squad, like the rest of her other 2 planes, engine boost, exact same engine boost. Again, there's only 1 strike. This is a tactical squadron like super carriers, so you literally attack all at once, and then you have to wait for it to recharge. So that is a little hard, but it's not great. It's not terrible. It's not as bad as super ships is. 6 bombers in an attacking flight. The prep time, it's not horrendous. It's about a little over a minute and a half. About 2 minutes, roughly. Well, actually about 2 minutes and around 40 seconds, I guess. Yeah, around 2 minutes and 40 seconds. So not bad, not great, but it's not bad. Again, each bomber gets 4 bombs in each payload. They do a max damage of 7,300 with a 42 millimeter pin and a 41 chance of fire. Sorry about that. Now, that's actually really decent. So I'm going to bring up Shikaku for you. Shikaku. Bring up the armor deck. Nope, that's that. Don't want that. Don't want that. That's 19 millimeters. Okay, so let's pull off some of that armor. Your bombs will go straight through this. You won't Citadel it, but you're going to pin the Shikaku on Raptor Rescue if you take your bombers and just carpet bomb this. Midway Part 2, shall we say. Now, airstrike-wise for subs, 7-kilometer range, 1 flight, automated as usual for all CVs. Fairly accurate if you're... They're fairly accurate, so 4,200 max damage. So you'll have some protection against subs. AA-wise, it's average at best. She gets 30 Orliken machine guns. And then she gets four mounts of Chicago pianos. That's the nickname for these guns, are Chicago pianos. So they're not the best. These were what was on Enterprise and Hornet before they... Well, it was on Enterprise before they traded them out for the Bofors guns. These were the predecessors to the Bofors. That's why they call it, and they're Chicago pianos. And then she gets 8 5-inch guns, which are basically distributed even throughout her flight deck. So she gets not a lot. Continuous damage, 195, not the greatest. The damage is just really bad. And then shell explosion 1400, 5.8 range, average. Maneuverability wise, she's a decent carrier with 33 knots, 1,000 and 1,060 for turning circle, and a 12-second rudder shift. Not bad, but not great. I don't recommend even doing anything to change the concealment at 14 kilometers. Okay, don't even bother with that. Now for the build, and equipment wise, you want air groups modification 1. Engine room modification, aircraft engines modification 1, aerial torpedo modification 1 for the 5% to speed, torpedo bombers modification 1 or 2. Now, depending on how you want, you can do bombers or you can do torpedo bombers. I like to do torpedo bombers because these are also damage dealers. And you get a lot of bombers, dive bombers, but not a lot of torpedo bombers. So you want to conserve your torpedo bombers. And then, as usual, flight control modification 1. Now, for the build, Captain, this is my Enterprise build also. So, last gasp, air supremacy, improved engines, aircraft armor, survivability expert, site stabilization, bomber flight control, and proximity fuse. This build will basically get you by for Enterprise and, well, Hornet. I would even say you could put this build on Lexington and you'd still do good. But this build is practically a universal build. You can't really go wrong with this. If you are taking a lot of flak and you're not good at dodging flak, you can substitute proximity fuse or bomber flight control for enhanced aircraft armor. But you definitely want to get at least one, this skill or this skill, one of these two skills. But I would honestly recommend, if you're going to give up any skill, give up bomber flight control for enhanced armor. But that is basically, oh, and then you get the, well, her camouflage anyway. This is what the that's what she would look like default. And then this is what it would look like also with the alternative camo. Now, she does get the dual little raid camo, which makes her look like this, which makes her plane stand out a lot more, but you have to pay, well, 5,000 doubloons for that camo. So, not the best. I mean, I personally think these will work just fine. If you really want to change it around, you can put, you know, one of these on, one of your cheap camos on, and basically make it look more historical, in my opinion. But that's just me. But let's get into the replay, and I'll show you how Hornet does it. Hello, and welcome to WOW's Operation Replays. Today, we have the pleasure of reviewing Hornet. Now, due to the longest night stream, if you redeem the code, you're able to get Hornet, Friesland, Texas, Belfast, Hornet, Friesland, Texas, and Belfast. I believe are the 4 ships. Now, right off the bat, I call Southern CV. We are dibbed up with a Nanasio, Hipper, Edinburgh, Omamu, Z-23, and a Nakatsuki. Now, the way the AP bombers on these guys work is that kind of like the Soviet carriers. And kind of how they strike. Not skip bombing, but just the way. The only other ship that has this kind of reticule that I'm aware of is the FDR. These bombers make me feel like I'm flying the FDR, except a little bit better. Now, I go out to spot the Shiriatsu and then circle back in for the battleship. Bombs away. 1 overpin, 1 pin, and 2 ricochets. So the way they drop, they're good, but they're not great. It's like the bombs have to be literally just perfect for them to really arm. So there are chances that you could get complete ricochets. So I'm at 1500 damage. Watch what is going to happen when these Torps hit. The Torps are just much more reliable. They do have a weird spread though. Kind of like how the Kagas is, except backwards. Now that was a little over 12,000 damage. And I'm not going to get the second one off because, well, the Torps pick it up and they hit her. So that sucks. But again, remember, I called the Southern CV. I can take the Southern CV. So I send out the Torp bombers to get the 12,000 on them. Maybe a little bit more. And then I'll bring my big boys in. Because my big boys are close to recharging, but I don't want to wait 30 seconds. So I'm just going to send in a strike, get my carrier closer, and then send in the big boys. And the team's saying they're spotted, so that tells me that the cruisers are north. But the Ignacio looks like he's going to come south. Again, this may not look like he hits, but just as I drop my Torps, the CV starts to turn. And all 4 Torps hit. And he DCP'd. He DCP'd a fire. Now I'm bringing in the big boys. The B25 Mitchell medium bomber. And I'm telling him to get back because there's no point. There is no point. Once this strike hits, that thing's gonna be gone. So it is frustrating. Now these things don't have good maneuverability. So the old myth of the bomber will get through, well, yeah, you just drive straight through the flak. Torp bombers out. That was about 20,000. So right off the bat, you know, again, you see the Z-23 and the Ignacio coming south. There was no point for them to come south. I would have killed this CV. I popped my thing because I know the Ignacio is going to go for it.
This is Raptor. Moving out.
I lose some planes there, but I'm the only thing spotting this carrier. Once my planes are gone, CV disappears. And my Torps kill it, and I pick it up. So that was a pretty good amount of damage right there. But it shows that Hornet can kill the Shikaku. Now, my planes do look a little low. They do look a little low, but just keep an eye on the plane indicators. Especially the Torps. Now, it was really hard to tell, because I was like, do I go for the DDs or do I go for the CV? Again, you see that the Z's down there. Now, watch the Z and the Ignacio. It was hard because I didn't know what to do. I thought about going for... Normally, I would have gone for the DDs, but I really wanted to get the other CV. Let's be honest. I wanted to get the other CV. I felt robbed for the first one. I popped my engine boost, my last engine boost. I do take a damage there, and I pop a heal so I make sure that I can at least maintain my full set of strike. I aim far ahead because he's going at full speed, and I bring in the B25s again. For Torps, about 12 to 15,000 damage. And I have, because so many players will go for these CVs and abandon the objectives. If my team knows that I can kill the CV, then they can just focus on protecting the carrier. Right? Right. Again, not really worried about the DD. But I still kind of go around it just so I don't take any damage. That unnecessary damage, I should say. I'm thinking, okay, but then I see that the CV isn't moving. And I'm like looking, and I'm like, he's not moving. Either I forced him to change his approach or something, but I approach it head on. So, right over the top of it. We're at 71,000 damage. $12 bomb hits. And double fires on it. So, that's a lot of damage. That was almost a 30k strike on that carrier. That was around a 30k strike. Just on that carrier. Like, look at his health now. And now I'm literally wasting my squadron on that first one to literally boost in and kill it before my team can kill it. But I think the Omamu was so focused on the Hatsuharu, and no one's in range to really kill it. So that's pretty... And he's re-accelerating, so I aim ahead. My planes pull out. 3 Torps, and he's gone. The Hornet can kill the Shikakus. It is probably one of the only Americans that can do it with very minimal losses. And the only reason that is because of those B25s. The B25s are the Hornet's main damage dealer. And I love this carrier. I'll be honest. I love it. Now, I did put on a camo to give the B25s their olive green kind of camo. Because I just felt it was needed.
This is Raptor. Air room is ready for duty.
And I decided, because the team's going to kill the Mayoku. So I go for the Furutaka. The team's going to kill the Furutaka. I'm going to kill the Mayoku. Or at least delete his health. 4 bombs. Decent amount of damage. I will be honest. It does take... The B-25s do take some getting used to. But they're... Now, the team has smoked up the Raptor, so I pop a spotter to keep it spotted for him. Or a fighter to keep it spotted. I've still got 1 heal left. But again, as you can see, these planes are not that hard to aim up. These are very... I would honestly want to call this ship Enterprise 2.0. If you honestly wanted to feel what Enterprise felt in the OG days. This is the closest you can get. The B25s are basically like her AP bombers. The Torps are like her rockets, and the dive bombers, well, they act like her torpedo bombers. You know, they're there to help kind of cushion your damage. But this feels like Enterprise 2.0 to me. I was highly impressed with this ship. Again, I had already played it on my friend Devil Dog's account, so I knew what I was going in for. But I didn't know I'd have this much fun. I never picked up the Hornet because I figured the planes were just so squishy based on what I was seeing in co-op. But after this, I have to rescind my statement. It is an extremely powerful ship. Now I am going to take the bombers in on the Azuma because I want to see what they do to the Azuma. So we're at 130 right now. 130k. So let's see what happens when these bombers hit the Azuma. Again, you just drive straight through the flak. Yeah, it was around 140. Around almost 20k. Just with those bombers. Again, the bombers, they're not all going to land because it is kind of like a carpet bombing. So you just pray you hope you hit a good portion of your salvo. But the Hipper did really good work sitting there. I mean, he knew the spot. Edinburgh was was in a good spot. They were in a very beautiful spot. And you see, there are only 2 overpins, so those bombers are slightly hard to use. They are hard, and I just wasn't having a good luck. Again, my first match, but I was very impressed by it. I was still very impressed. Again, I know what's spawning, so I'm already moving my carrier to get as many strikes off and get as much more damage as I can. But these Torp bombers are actually really strong. These do almost Enterprise damage. They do a little bit less damage, and you don't get as many strikes, but I think they're more sustainable over the long run compared to Enterprises, due to the fact that they have a larger squadron. And I personally feel like they just feel a little easy. They feel easier to use also. Again, he basically drives straight in and he takes basically 3 of the Torps. Now, I'm not going to get another one because the Akatsuki's going to take it, but that's our damage. That's mostly our damage is 163. Not bad, considering half our damage was in carriers. Well, actually, about half our damage was literally carrier damage. But again, as you saw, the only one to die was the Z-23 that went south. But you guys be the judge. Was the Z-23 the Ignacio? Did they need to come south? Not likely. But they did. basically just move our carrier at this point. There's no point. But these are really nice bombers. I mean, they're really nice. AP bombers are decent, and the Torps are just really great. I mean, this carrier is a buy. And this isn't even the highest damage. I even had it on some of the hardest ops, and still managed to easily crack 150k easily. Like, it's not hard. And it is very doable shit. That's part 1 of Hornet. We'll bring up part 2 next. A good one right here. Okay. Second, Hipper did amazing. Third, I mean, the second not bad. 52 on Tatsu, or 53 on Tatsu, 54 on Hutu. Tactical bombers averaged 30,000, 20,000. 20,000 average, and then mostly the tactical bombers are... I knew the tactical bombers are her whole gimmick. I just didn't know how much she relied on them for damage. Because these are what I hit for the bomb with the normal bombers. And just overpins and ricochets. Not the best. But then when you look at the score, not the best for bombs released. Tactical bombers and Torps made up about 50-50 of the damage. So I think if a person can use just those two, they'll do okay. I like it. I really do like this ship. Hello! Welcome to part 2 of Hornet's review. Now, we're on Operation Defensive Newport. We've got double turrets, Anasio Bayard, ARP Miyako, and a Suri. So, really good team.
Stand by for action. The base is under attack. Impede the enemy's advance until the main fleet forces arrive.
I take the AP bombers out because there's really no point to use the Torps, because I'm going to need the Torps for later. Like on the next wave, I'm going to need them. I'm going to need them on the third wave. I can afford to use these guys on my first wave. I mean, Hornet does get pretty good plane reserves. Really good plane reserves, which offset the survivability of her planes, but they're pretty decent. As you know, in part 1, it was hard to make these bombs work, but watch this one strike. Double Citadel, 7,000. Not a lot, but it adds up. Not bad. I mean, right there we're at 12,000. So that was like one Torp strike for one plane lost. That's pretty good. And as you can see, with the right skills, you're able to line these strikes off and get these strikes off really fast. This ship is honestly a really good bargain. I do mess up that, but I do get 3 Torps. For about 12,000. I do get 3 more Torps off. I'm going to lose 1 plane. So I lost, what, 2 planes? But I get 2 more strikes. For about 8,000 damage. So, and I decide... to try, and then I decide, nope, let's not. I decide, well, do I want to wait for the bombers? And I was like, because I was thinking.
All enemy forces before the principal attack is launched and secure the carrier's retreat to the base.
And then I decide, you know what? It's super close. Let's just use the bombers.
This is Space Commander. Support ship breach battery.
And I bring out the big boys. And I'm like, do I want to go for... I was thinking, do I go for the Baron? Do I go for the Congo? And I was like, let's go for Congo. Has more health. Bombers going in. We're at 32,000. And final tally, 44. So about 12,000. Not the best strike, but not bad. And then I decide, okay, big boys need to recharge. Let's go for the DDs. Again, you know, remember, as I always say, DDs equal more XP. Plus, I want to see if these things can actually hit DDs, because I wasn't able to test that on Raptor Rescue. I know I can do it in an Enterprise. I want to see if I can do it in a Hornet, and see how good it does. Again, we don't know where he's at, but look at the ability to, like, just turn these things. And then with the right skills, you can literally just aim it back up. That basically becomes a perfect drop. And I'm thinking, oh, he's going to take one. He's going to take one. 1, 2. And then he just keeps driving. And 4 Torps. He takes all 4 Torps. And that pretty much proves to me, okay, yeah. And then I just drop it and get the planes out of there. Again, those 4 planes close. I do lose like 1. But, again, the plane retention is pretty good. You're not going to lose like a huge amount of planes unless you have the wrong skills and you just, like, well, mess up. Okay, the bombs are going in. Let's see what the bombs do. 3 bombs, 3 citadels for about 11,000 damage. That's when the bombs do really good. Now, that is pretty much like an OG, well, close to an OG Enterprise strike. They're still pretty effective. That's why I think this thing is Enterprise 2.0. As someone that's played their Enterprise for a good amount, yeah. The downside is that Enterprise rockets don't really ricochet as much, but it's not much. It's not bad. Now, I know the team has already got the Baron. The Baron I don't want to worry about. So I decided to go attack the 3rd wave. Because, yeah, I mean, yeah, by the time I get there, he's not going to have any health. So there's no point for me to go there. It'd be no point. But I love our Turpitses. The Turpitses did an amazing job. Especially Cooper. Yeah, Cooper did an amazing job. He isn't going to live the whole match, but he did an amazing job. Especially if you were watching how he backed out into the enemy to keep that angle. That's a pretty good strategy. Bombs drop. Around 12,000. Double fires. So, not bad. And the Miyoku is saying, I got citadels, I got fires, but I can't get a damn kill. Story of my life. That's the Hip Turpits and the Miyoku, which is honestly fair. I drop a fighter because I am slightly worried about them getting through. So I want to at least spot for my team and at least try to help him because Miyoku lost a pretty good amount of health. So I'm not worried about him. Someone Citadel's the Otago. Or the, yeah, Ilba. And I'm still able to make one drop. Like, I'm still losing planes. But the way these Torps drop, I'm still able to get Torps off. And I still get 2 Torps. Those 2 Torps still hit. And I'm up to 105,000. That's pretty decent. Now, the team is basically wrecking these guys. There's still that Shuryats that's just, you know, hanging out on the 9 and 10 line. That's literally just sitting there. So, he's what I'm going for. Because we need to get him down. And that was just a bad strike. It was still decent enough to do the damage. But I really should have had that first strike. I make sure not to repeat it with the second one, though. To aim far enough ahead. And 3 Torps, around 12,000 damage. He's lost all of his health, so the team can literally just finish him off now. So, right there, and then, you know, we've cleaned up the middle wave. We've cleaned it up. Or the third wave. We've cleaned up that third wave. So we don't have to worry about it. And as you can tell, this thing kills the DDs. And we're not even done yet. We do pick up the Z-23, though. Our first kill. For 124,000. And I'm only sending these boys out to help. Now, Cooper is like, they're telling him to get back, and I'm thinking, yeah, he's dead. And even he knows he's dead. He takes the Torps. It's unfortunate. He's like, shit, bye, Cooper. And I was like, Capitals. He was doing great. He was. He was doing great. And I felt bad. I really did feel bad because he was doing an amazing job. I get 6 bombs. Not the best strike. Not the best, but decent enough. I probably could use my AP bombers, though. And I know, yes, there's those cruisers. I have to worry about those guys. But it's like, I gotta help get this Des Moines in there. And I don't want our Baron, Bayard, to lose too much health. I still want to help my team. I drop, get a nice aim. I pull the planes back to hopefully not lose too many of them. 3 Torps, about 12, around 11,000. And the flood. I'm not going to get the kill, but I'm not disappointed. I mean, the team is kind of all over there. I basically am giving this a little whole side of ships to basically mess around with. So it's like, yay! So my damage is nowhere near to being done. I take a flak bubble, and that does hurt. One Citadel, so we go up about 5,000. Not great, but not terrible. We take our Torps out, and we're like, we're going to go for the DD. Because I know if I don't kill that DD, he can come up on that island and basically, around that island, and basically just torp me to death. So I've got it. And right there, he's spotted. He's far away from all of his buddies now that the AA is basically, you know, not really like a problem. and I can get out of range of the Ibuki. But 4 Torps, he loses about most of his health there. As you can see, these Torps are really easy to aim. 2 Torps, but he's lost like most of his health, and I got to go back to the work on this 3rd wave. I want to finish him off, but I'd rather wait. My big boys are, you know, off cooldown, so I decided let's use our other bombers, and then we'll bring out the big boys. About 12,000, 3 Citadel with 4 bombs. Pretty damn good. You can see how that AP bombing, when it just lines up perfectly, you can get chunks of damage. Really stacked up real quickly. The whole squadron is designed for damage. This is an amazing ship. $15,000 on that Ayoba. On that Ibuki. Sorry, on the Ibuki. That Ibuki's lost practically 40,000 HP to me. I do go in and I'm like, okay, let's do a kind of a slingshot. We'll drop 1 set and then we'll go in on the Ibuki. Or on the Gneisenau now. We do pick up the Ibuki. Musashi does delete the Surrey, which is unfortunate. We get 2 Torps on Gneisenau now, or 3 Torps, for about 12,000. As you can see, yeah, my planes are slightly depleted, but I'm nowhere near deplaned yet. I'm not, like, hurting, and I'm not worried, honestly. Two Bobs with 1 Citadel, not bad. They do a really good job of getting that Missouri down. Really good job. Bayer does take a Citadel through the bow, though, from the Missouri. And the way they drop, I can literally get most of my planes turned around. Four torpedoes. We're up to 130,000, and the flood is basically stacking. And we end up with close to about 240,000. But we basically ended up with, and they're like, good game, CV, because the team's like, you did pretty good. But 240K. And I still got pretty good plane health. So I'm not like hurting. I was actually fairly healthy. Top of the team by 3. 3 basic speed. That's hilarious. Yeah, this ship, total buy. I would pick this ship up. This is officially on my list. I'm very impressed. I like this ship. I mean, I played it on Devil's computer once. Since we're next door neighbors, he let me play once, and I was impressed the first time. But after playing it with this, yeah, I like this ship. I like this ship a lot. It's not overtly broken. It does have some weak points. But, I mean, if you know how to basically overcome it, yeah. Let's see here. Well, not a lot of planes lost. Only happened at the very end, but torpedo damage was about half my damage, and then tactical bomb. Most of my damage came from my normal planes, and then about half on the bombers. But torpedo was most of the map, was most of them. It's a good ship.